An incredible weekend of football here as we just witnessed 4 incredibly great divisional games going on. As we know now, the Chiefs advance, the Bills advance for an incredible Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes matchup. On the other side in the NFC, an old guard, if you will, right? Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady. Incredibly 4 entertaining games on the field, a lot of coaching news, a lot of quarterback drama off the field, and jam-packed weekend we had this past weekend. So no better person to talk about it all than with Tyler Dunne, Go Long NFL writer. You can find his website, golongtd.com. You can find all his tremendous work and opinions on Twitter at Ty Dunne, Dunne spelled D-U-N-N-E. Tyler, thanks so much for giving us a few minutes here. After watching that just incredibly entertaining weekend, I mean, has your head kind of settled down at all and have all the thoughts kind of finally settled in? Because I feel like every time we watch something incredible, boom, another big breaking news happens. Boom, another incredible matchup happens. It was one of the best weekends I feel like we've had here in a while.
It was. This is probably my favorite football weekend of the year. I mean, you get 2 games on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, just a ton of talent, ton of great quarterback play. And it wasn't even, Saturday, the Bills-Ravens game, that was the one I was really looking forward to. And to be honest, it really wasn't that great of a game.
Right.
With all the wind and the doinks and, Lamar getting shut down and Allen throwing every play. I mean, it was kind of ugly there for a little while. But it picked up a little bit toward the end with that pick six, and Louisville Old Sunday was great. I mean, that did not disappoint. What about the drama? Right when you're ready to go to Lowe's or Home Depot there on Sunday, and you think the Chiefs got this locked up. I mean, no lie. I was sitting with my wife. I'm like, I could probably go to Lowe's and get some stuff. And then you start watching the games, like, I better stay right here. This isn't over,
Right.
because of the concussion protocol, whatever's going on there. But yeah, Andy Reid, what can you say, man? I mean, that to me is the takeaway of the weekend. The fact that the Browns punted their season away, and Andy Reid went for it on 4th and short with a backup quarterback, throwing the ball, risking everything. This is not the Andy Reid of Philadelphia. I mean, his evolution as a head coach is just remarkable. He's the best in the NFL, and he might be the most important person left in the tournament, really.
Couldn't agree more. Let's start right there, Tyler, because like you just said, I mean, the transformation he has from Mr. Conservative, he coaches to lose the game in Philly. Now all of a sudden he's Mr. Aggressive. He's Mr. Forward thinking, Mr. Analytics when it comes to the Chiefs. I mean, even Elias Sports Bureau, this stat blew my mind. I saw it on SportsCenter last night. Since 1970, this was the first conversion when a team was leading in the final 5 minutes of the game when they went for it in their own end. And it's like, I don't even know. They didn't say how many conversions at least were attempted, but at least to have that first conversion in almost 50 years of football, I mean, that has to be the gutsiest 4th down call. And not to be a prisoner of the moment, but is that the gutsiest 4th down call maybe we've ever seen?
It's definitely one of the most gutsiest that I can remember watching this game. And, my mind just went back to Green Bay, Seattle, 2014 NFC Championship game. I was covering that game at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel at the time. And what did Mike McCarthy do in the first half? He kicked field goals at the 1-yard line twice. He punted on 4th and inches at the 48. He ran the ball 3 times, up 19-7 with 4 minutes left. I mean, it's no coincidence that they lost that game. I mean, if you coach scared, you're going to play scared, and they gave that game away, and they had no business giving it away. So I really think that Andy Reid just kind of understands that, and he knows that when you make decisions like this, it kind of feeds into the energy of your entire team. Decisions like that make your team. And that's why the Chiefs are the Chiefs. That's why Mahomes is Mahomes, Reid is Reid. And as long as Mahomes is healthy, I don't know how anybody really beats this team. I mean, Buffalo's been great. But at Arrowhead, when you're coaching this way and you've got Patrick Mahomes, damn, I don't know. I'm not betting against that.
That leads to my next question perfectly. Just going to ask because, I mean, I'm not sure what your feelings were preseason, but with the Chiefs running basically the entire team back from last year, I picked them to go to the Super Bowl. I picked them to win the Super Bowl. And then, like you said, you watch them in this game that, I thought they would win convincingly. And all of a sudden, like I said, Patrick Mahomes goes down. And now you have Chad Henne for a quarter and a half in a close game. Was this the best chance of anyone left in the NFL to basically prevent the Chiefs from going to back-to-back Super Bowls, let alone winning back-to-back Super Bowls? Was the moment right there when Patrick Mahomes goes out in that quarter and a half, was that the window of opportunity for the rest of the NFL to prevent Kansas City from going to back-to-back and repeating as champions?
I won't go that far quite yet. definitely agree. Like, there's no better player on the planet, and it's like, if you have a chance to slay the dragon, you better do it and not punt on 4th and 9. But I still watching that Bucks Saints game with Tom Brady and all those weapons, and I mean, you've got a quarterback who's on a mission there all the time, and Aaron Rodgers. I mean, obviously he'll probably win MVP. All the weapons that they have in Green Bay. Once upon a time, everybody was crying that they didn't have any weapons. I
Yeah.
think that maybe it's not time to completely dismiss the Bills. I mean, they've got something special brewing. They make a big play in a big moment. So I'm with you. I think it's the Chiefs. I think it's Mahomes. I think they win it all. But I don't think it's going to be a landslide. I think that's what's going to make championship weekend and the Super Bowl just wild to watch. You've got so many great quarterbacks. You've got the old guard, like you said. You've got the two young guns coming up. And anything can happen, really. Absolutely anything can happen right now.
I agree. It is wide open. I'm curious. We're talking to Tyler Dunne. GoLongTD.com is where you can find all his tremendous work, incredible features, a great, gifted, and talented NFL writer. You just mentioned the Bills there, Tyler. I'm curious because in the 2 games, at least in the playoffs, and just looking at their playoff performance so far, first game, Josh Allen played well. The offense won the game. Their defense was shredded by Philip Rivers and the Colts, but they made enough plays at the end to get it done. As you mentioned on Saturday night, a lot of hype. I thought the Ravens honestly were going to go in there and win, and just a very sloppy performance. Maybe the wind had a lot to do with that on both sides, as we saw a low-scoring 17-3 game. But again, the defense bailed out Buffalo. The offense struggled with Josh Allen scoring just 10 points. I'm curious. So seeing 2 games and seeing one game where the offense plays well, the defense struggles. The next game, the defense plays well, the offense struggles. Is that a cause for maybe concern that the Bills, can't put a complete game together? Or, they're 2-0 in games where they haven't played well. Is that a source of optimism, if you will, that, hey, they're still winning games and they haven't even played their best football yet?
Watching this team, Ryan, it's just wild how they win in just different ways every week. And they don't, remember, they don't even have a running game. There's no semblance of a running game at this point.
Yep.
So that's why Brian Daboll is literally throwing every single play. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, we never seen anything like that in a playoff game. But it's different ways. I mean, it's Stephon Diggs one week. It's Cole Beasley another week. It's John Brown. It's Isaiah McKenzie. It's Devin Singletary. It's defensively Taron Johnson. I mean, he had the pick 6 against Pittsburgh earlier this year, and obviously the pick 6 there against Baltimore completely changed that game. Jerry Hughes, the longest tenured Bill. I mean, they traded for him way back in 2013. It was kind of a washout of a first-round pick by Indianapolis.
Oh, yeah. As a Colts fan, I remember that well. I can't believe the success. Yeah. Credit to the Bills. They turned them around.
Shepard, yeah. It's just crazy. I mean, they win in different ways. They can win a low-scoring game and hold Lamar Jackson to 3 points. They can win a high-scoring game and just completely outscore, Russell Wilson when Russ was really at his peak earlier in the year. They just adapt and know what kind of game they have to play in that moment. So I don't know. I mean, that's kind of what gives me I'm not going to just write them off, I guess, at Arrowhead. I think that they can go in there and not stop Patrick Mahomes. Nobody can, but they could at least hang in there with them because we've seen their offense go drive for drive with teams. And look, Kansas City's secondary is not going to be nearly as good as Baltimore's secondary. Marlon Humphrey took Cole Beasley out of the game. They're nasty. They get after you. I think that it could be a little bit of a change there where, hey, if they want to throw every play against the Chiefs, they're probably going to have a lot more success than they did against Baltimore. And Sean McDermott just is his finger on the pulse of this team at all times. It's going to be just a fascinating game to watch.
At Ty Dunne is where you can find all of Tyler's work. Dunne spelled Dunne. So in that game, on the flip side, right, we see Lamar Jackson struggle. He's 1-3 now in the playoffs. A lot of playoff narratives kind of circling around Lamar. I'm curious because heading into this game, at least there were some rumors, there were some reports that hey, the Ravens are thinking about extending Lamar Jackson this offseason. Out of that game, is there any pause in your mind as the Ravens whether they should extend him or not, or do you think, hey, listen, he won an MVP. He's still, 31-10, I believe is his regular season record, or just over a record when he starts a game for the Ravens. Has he done enough already to deserve an extension similar to maybe a Deshaun Watson? Or coming out of that game, do you have pause that, hey, maybe we can't trust Lamar going forward to be our franchise guy the next 5 years?
Love Lamar Jackson. Loved his last month and a half of the season. He was unstoppable. I think he can win this way because we just haven't seen a quarterback with 4.2 speed just unleashed in all these different creative ways. but I don't know how you can watch that game against Buffalo and not have reservations about paying him north of 30, 35 mil a year. Like, this is 3 years in a row now where a team in the playoffs forced him to pass and he couldn't do it. It was ugly. I mean, it was really ugly. They couldn't finish drives. They couldn't get anything going with him, even as a runner. You know, they bottled him up. Their game plan just solved Lamar Jackson, it seemed. So I think that if you're the Ravens, you do everything you can to wait. I mean, you don't really have a plan B. It's not like you just give up on the guy. I mean, he did win the MVP, and he did have a remarkable December this season. I just don't know if you're in a rush to give him that Deshaun Watson money, that Patrick Mahomes money. I think the Bills, they're probably itching to pay Allen and lock him up. Where Baltimore, yeah, you kind of know what he is at this point, and you have to wonder, like, is it even possible for him to develop more as a passer? I think what they'll probably do, if they do something bold, is go a different direction schematically and maybe find a new coordinator. You know, as
Okay.
great as Greg Roman has been there, like Steve Smith was pretty scathing in his criticism. He played for the Ravens. I mean, he knows guys in that offense, and basically said, like, this is an elementary, simplistic, bland scheme for route combinations. I mean, maybe you just try to find a different coordinator who's going to find a way to use Lamar and find a way to take this passing game to the next level. You just decide, like, we're all in on Lamar. To the point of not paying him that quite yet. You get him a new receiver, you get him a new coordinator, you do all this stuff. I'm not going to say it's going to work, because at the end of the day, if you don't have the quarterback, you don't have the quarterback. But I think you do have to try something else different around him before you just give him all that money. I don't think that you can just do that right now.